Ground Zero, it's your boy Kenny. Today we're going to be doing a front tire change on a 2016 GSXR 600. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so I'm going to go over the things that I'm going to be using today so we can get started. So I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch ratcheting breaker bar, a 1/2 inch standard ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet with a 6mm Allen, a 6mm T-handle, a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 10mm socket, an 8mm socket and an extension. I'll explain that one later. Rubber mallet, a 27mm socket, and a 19mm Allen. So also another thing that I like to use is the yoke stand, the front yoke stand. They do make two different style stands. They make this one and they make the one that goes on the bottom of the forks. I prefer this one because I can actually put it up underneath and do my fork seals and stuff like that. So now that I've showed you that, let's get started on this tire. Alright, we're going to go POV with this and get going. So let's lock that in there. So get my lift, drop my lock, always let it down on the safety locks. It's always the best thing you can do. As you can see, like I said, this picks the bike itself up by the yoke right there, and that's the stand I like. So let me grab some gloves and let's get started. So first things first, we're going to take the axle sliders off there, which is why I needed the 6mm and the other 6mm. So let's take that loose real quick. It actually came loose pretty simple. Alrighty, so we're going to take that loose, and this is what my extension was for, even though, so let me knock that out of there. Oh, it's going to be a little long. There we go, 8mm. So, and there it goes on the floor. My bad. So let's pick that up. So that's the my spindle slider. So that's that. Next thing we're gonna knock loose is the caliper bolts with the 10mm and the oh, it's not a 10mm, sorry, my mistake. That's for the front spindle pinches. So it's gonna be a 12mm and a 3/8 ratchet, which I thought I had sitting over. Oh, I did have it sitting over there. So 12mm. We're going to knock these bolts loose. You can tell that I have literally never changed this front tire. This is the first time the front tire has been changed on this. So we're going to knock them loose. I am only going to take the top one out for right this second. So that's one bolt. So let's go around the other side. So taking them loose. This one I don't mind because it's got the hook on the fender hanging it. I don't like leaving my the tension sit on my brake lines and letting it hang, but in this case I'm going to have to for a little bit. I'm going to hang them up after I get this off here. So there's those off, and then bring it back. I need to take it out of that for a second though. Bring it back, make sure, check your brake pads while you got it apart. Makes life a little easier. I'm gonna leave that sit there for a second, come back around. I'm gonna knock this bolt out right here. Like I said, I hate leaving my calipers hang from the brake hoses. That's not really good for your hoses, and don't scratch your rims trying to get them out of there. Check the brake pads on that side. I'm gonna leave it hang. Now, I'm gonna take my 1/2 inch and my 27 millimeter. And the first thing I want to do is break that axle nut loose right there. And I just dropped my bolt again. So that's aluminum. So next thing I want to do, that's where that 10 millimeter comes into play. We're going to take and knock all my pinch bolts loose. You got to take them horribly loose, but that's a little bit tighter than I thought it was going to be. All right, let's walk back over here and grab a 10 millimeter out the drawer, because obviously that ain't working out for me. So 10 millimeter, and where's my ratchet at? Knock that loose. I don't like how that felt like it almost stripped. Okay. Knock that loose. Alrighty. Come around this other side. All your pinch bolts. All the pinch bolts are loose. Sometimes you need that big Allen, sometimes you don't. This is the first time I've had to take it apart on this, so looking like I might not need it. So come back around here, grab my rubber mallet, a few taps on my axle just to pull that out. I am going to go ahead and grab that socket just so I can get a better grip on things. I'm going to put my hand up in here, pull that out, and drop this down. Now, one thing you don't ever want to do is, you can see right here, you can see where the axle actually sits into the seals on this right hand side of it. We're going to come back around this other side, and you can see that spacer. Don't mix them up, don't get it taken care of. And we're going to pull that out and see the arrow right there. Couldn't have lined up perfect. That is going to be the direction that the tire is going to go in. So now that that's off there, we're going to set this down here, and we're going to go on down to the shop and get this thing changed out. All right, guys, as you can see, I'm back at the shop. I was not able to get a film of me actually changing the tire. My boss did do me a solid, let me take it into work and change it out, but he wasn't about to have me have cameras up in there. You can't blame him. So, you know, I'm grateful that he did let me do the tire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next part of it, which at a later date I will go back and do a tire video on the tire machine. I do have a new shop in the works, and I'm actually going to be building a personal racetrack here, so that's going to be a big move. So definitely stick around for my channel and check it out when I get there. Not sure how long it's going to be. Could be a year, could be 2 years. This is going to be a big move, so definitely excited about this. But let's get on to balancing this tire. So I wanted to show you. As you can see, I got it up on the truing stand. They actually sell these truing stands, I believe, at Harbor Freight for, I think I paid like 30 or 40 bucks for it. Not that expensive, as you can see. I like Shinko Ravens. A lot of people are going to bust my bubble about that one because they are a hard tire, but they literally last forever. It's why most stunners use them. And in Florida, every road is straight. There's really not a lot of turns and stuff like that. But like I said in the beginning part, as you can see, my directional arrow, my directional on my tire. But one thing I wanted to show you is we're going to be doing a balance on this. So I will take the heaviest spot of the wheel, which is usually the valve stem, especially if you're running aluminum caps. You can see it at the top. But as you can see, I got my finger on there. I'm just going to release it. And as you can see, the heaviest end of this tire is going to fall to the bottom of that. I mean, it's going to rock a little bit. But, so what I want to show you how I'm going to balance this. So, things I'm going to be needing is a rag. And I've done already wiped the surface on this. And sticky wheel weights, they usually sell them at O'Reilly's. Advanced Auto Parts are over by the valve stems. I think they're like $8 or something for a package of like 3 or 4 of those. But the thing I'm taking off of that is 1/4 ounce weight, and you can see I have Scotch tape, which if anybody knows anything about these sticky weights, when they come off, this double-sided sticky tape, whatever it is made of, is like Gorilla Glue, and you literally got to scrub your guts off to get it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up this tripod, and we're going to start balancing this tire. Alright, so you can see the tire, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking a little length of Scotch tape, and you'll understand that why. I'm going to take this 1/4 ounce wheel weight, because like I said, pulling this backside off and sticking it on the rim, if you have to move it at all, it's like Gorilla Glue, and you got to continuously do it. So what you're going to do to try and balance this rim, like I said, you're going to move it to the top, you're going to watch it, but as it's spinning around, you're going to try and pick a spot that's catty-cornered from the heavy spot. See how it's still moving? So now what I want to do is I want to take and continuously move that sticky weight, and this is why I use the Scotch tape, because I'm finding that sweet spot of where this wheel weight needs to go. Because what I want to originally do is I want it to be able to balance and have it nice, even roll to the tire, and that's when you have your good balance. It's not like a bubble balance. They don't really make bubble balancers for motorcycles. That's what I originally learned on when I was a child. Nowadays everything's so tech, but you can see I continue to move this wheel weight around. Let me move this camera a little bit so you can see. But I move that wheel weight, and my valve stem is right down here at the bottom. So as you can see, now it's starting to come back, where it's starting to lift. The wheel weight is now lifting that valve stem, but you don't want it. You want it to be able to have that even roll to it. So this is a lengthy process sometimes, and you just kind of got to fiddle with it a little bit. Just continuously take that piece of wheel weight. You got the Scotch tape, and right there you can see the heavy point on the wheel weight is going to go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do, considering this is a lengthy thing and it takes a few minutes to get the tire right, I'm going to go ahead and warp speed this and get this finished so we can get this back on the bike. So now that I've got this all balanced out, I figured out what weights. I'm going to move this real quick so you guys can see a little better. So what I've did was, at the end result, it ended up taking 1.25 ounces of weight. Each one of those squares is 1/4 ounce of weight. But as you can see, the tire does not have that roll no more. So when I stick that valve stem at the top and I just release, it doesn't move anymore. It has a slight movement. You're always going to have that little tiny bit. Can't make it 100% perfect. It's not a digital, but as you can see, I have a nice smooth roll to it, where this weight is going to pull down that side, and you got to think about it. If you add too much weight, it slings the tire. So every time it goes around, it's going to throw that heaviest point. So as you can see right now, it does have a little bit, and I'm going to have to tinker with it a little bit before I actually do stick it on the bike, but I'm trying not to burn up the video, just trying to show you how to balance. I just wanted to give you guys a, an idea of what it takes to balance a tire with a truing stand. If you've ever done spokes, they're a nightmare trying to get the rim 100% correct, and it does take a long time. Unless you are a seasoned person at doing it, it takes forever. Lacing dirt bike rims really does take a good amount of time. So now that I've showed you that, and now that you can see that it's got that perfect little roll to it, it doesn't have that heavy spot just falling, it's just slowly rolling. That means my rim's balanced out to the pretty close as I think I'm gonna get it. I might have to move it back, the weights back, or forward just a hair, but let's get this going and get this back on the bike. All right, guys, so now you can see I've laid my tools back out, but I've actually added a couple things in here, which is a 3/8 torque wrench, a 1/2" torque wrench, and something I mentioned in one of my other videos is Bell Ray. Love their products, been around for forever, and this is axle grease, and you'll see that in a minute. But so what I've did, let's get the tire rolled over here. All right, where did I put it? So I wanted to show you before I get started here, and I'm having a hard time finding it myself. So right here, as you can see, I've anodized the wheel weights, try to match it to the rim the best I could. That is the best it's getting, but let's get started on this. So as you can see, my arrow, so definitely it's gonna roll in just like that. Now, some of the things that I pointed out before was this spacer, which before went on the left-hand side of the bike, and then this side ran on the right-hand side. So, one thing, please do not ever put your axles in there 100% dry. And don't glob this up because it actually pushes and it's harder on your seals. But just a thin coat of grease. Just a little bit. You don't need a glob. You don't need to glob it on there. A little bit goes a long way. Just that little bit of grease, as you can see, I'm smearing it on. So take that rag, wipe it off, and we're gonna just do this. We're gonna lift it up, and we're gonna just put the axle in, and just like that, we're gonna come back around. We're gonna fish it through the other side, and get this all straightened out. So I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna take my rubber mallet, just knock that axle all the way through. Now, one mistake that a lot of people make is once they get the axle through, they go ahead and they tighten the pinch bolts up. That is something you do not wanna do at all. But so what you're gonna do, before we even get started with the rest, as you can see, I have my calipers hang up with some zip ties. I do not like it dangling on the hoses. That is so bad for the hoses. So what I'm going to do here is first is I'm going to torque my front axle nut. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to tighten it up by hand the best I can. I'm going to take my 1/2" ratchet and my Allen, just so I can get that good torque on it. So let's see here. Alrighty, so I went ahead and pulled the numbers. One thing that I mentioned in my other videos is do the research, find out the information, the books. I do not have the book on my Gixxer, but do what it takes. As you can see, I wrote down front axle 72.5 foot-pounds, 16.6 foot-pounds for the pinch bolts, and 28 foot-pounds for the caliper bolts, and we're going to get to all that here in a second. But first off, we're going to take the old school torque wrench. Everything's digital now. I like the old school clickies. Feel like they're never wrong. So we're going to wind this up to 70. Hold on. There it goes. There's 70 even, 72, and then getting a 5 out of that. So just another half mark on that. So we're going to go just round up to 73. That one little bit is not going to hurt it. So come over here, grab our socket. We're going to go ahead and we're going to tighten this down. As you can see, I torque everything. Everybody who watches any of my videos knows I am 100% by the book, and I do not stray from that at all. There's my click. One click will do it. I like to do a second click just to make sure. We're going to set that down. Don't forget to unwind your torque wrench, because that, you know, the spring, the tension on the spring. So now we're going to come around here. We're going to turn on our torque wrench. This is not a good snap-on one, but it gets the job done. So my front pinch bolts are going to be 16. In Newton meter, inch pounds. Let's see over here. Foot pounds. So, hold on. Foot pounds. So we're going to do 16.6 foot pounds. 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lock it down. We're going to take our socket. We're going to do that. We're going to take this down. So I don't usually wind these out, but I'm going to wind these back in with this. Oop, wrong size socket. Grab the right one here. There's a 10 millimeter. So we're going to come rack, and like I said, I'm by the book on everything. There's my click. We're going to come over here, wind that on a little bit more, and when you do this, it makes sure that both bolts are 100% even and one's not torqued down tighter than the other. So there's my click. We're going to come around this side. We're going to wind these in. We're going to wind these in. So tighten just with a torque wrench. There's your click. Like I said, I am crazy religious about torque wrenches and whatever the book says. There's my click. So now that we're going to come over here, we're going to come over, grab a pair of snips, which these are my favorites, and we're going to take that loose, because they've been, like I said, I don't like them hanging. Now you're going to make sure that both your, I'm trying to get a good light in here, but both your pads are on both sides, because if you put one pad on the other side, the first time you go to tighten down your, pump your brakes to bring your pad back, it will bend that rotor super easy. So I'm going to come back over. I'm going to get my socket, my ratchet, and I'm not going to, wrong one. We're not going to go crazy with it. I just want to snap it down just to seat it. Just to seat it. Would help if I had a electric ratchet. I do have one of those at work, but that I absolutely love. I've kind of gotten accustomed to it, but I do not have one at the house. I have my guns, and I'm not using that on these. Just snug, finger tight, come around this side. All right, so get my, my snips there. We're gonna come back around. We're gonna snip that. Love my zip ties, love my zip ties. All right, like I said, make sure, see how I just had that to the point where the pad slid over? You always want to make sure that your pads, there's one on both sides, because if you do it, and you can bend your rotor quick, fast, and in a hurry, and it happened. I had a customer had that happen to him, and it ended up being a $680 mistake on his part. Trust me, he was not happy. So this side's going in a little bit better than I did before. So the other side was a little bit tighter. So grab my torque wrench, come over here, and, oop, wrong size socket. And, oop, I forgot to to do it. So that was my battle on my part. And the caliper bolts is 28 foot-pounds. We're gonna go up to 28. Lock it down, and there's my click. There's my click. Come over to this side. There's my click. And there's my click. So, now that I got that done, that is my start to finish on doing your front tire. Everything torqued to spec. Everything as close to the manufacturer as I can possibly get. So the only thing that left to do is come around this side over here and pump your brakes. Get that nice and that firm brake pedal. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you do it. And I hope that all my videos give you guys an idea of what it takes to maintain your bikes. I do these videos for you to bring you information so you have an idea of what needs to be done to maintain your bike. I do always recommend you taking your bikes to the dealership, having them do it, because if anything goes wrong, they're covered under insurance, it's their liability, and they are the people that are to make sure that your bike is 100% right when it rolls out the door. And I do recommend you taking it to the dealership, but if you do decide to do it, you know, follow everything by the book. And I really do hope you guys are liking all my videos. Stick around, because I've got a ton more to come on maintenance and riding, and we're going to be traveling, and we're going to be definitely getting this racetrack built within the next couple of years. So I'm hoping that everybody sticks around for that, and I do appreciate every last one of your subscriptions. And if you haven't done so, go down below, hit like and subscribe. And until next time, you guys stay safe, maintain your stuff, wear your helmet, and rock your gear, because that's the most important part between you and the road. And I will see you guys in the next video.